So it seems that, we are continuing with the theme around education and entrepreneurs that are trying to solve issues in the education space. And for today, we are joined by Larreth Jimu, who is an entrepreneur and also a co-founder of a platform called Melsoft. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yes, you nailed it.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
And, they actually help in terms of coding skills and technical skills. And they actually help to actually place people, once some of those skills have been attained. Larreth, greetings to you.
Thank you so much.
May I begin by saying that you have a very interesting name? Do people get it wrong?
Oh, all the time. All the time. Some people say Larreth. Some people put one R and then they misspell the name. It's a bit of a tongue twister as well,
Yeah.
especially back home because we don't have an L in our
Yeah, in
our
our
language.
lexicon, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So I think on my side, I was first made aware of Larrett's business, yourself and your brother, attending, because I personally attend a lot of entrepreneurial events, pitch competitions, all of this stuff. And I think we did a little bit of networking at a certain event. That's where I first became aware of your particular business. But because you're an entrepreneur, you're good at an elevator pitch. So give us the elevator pitch on Melsoft.
Melsoft is an educational platform that takes people from beginner to entry level software developers and cybersecurity professionals. So, what we essentially do is we train people in these in demand technical skills and then we give them access to internships after graduation. Yeah.
And in terms of certification?
So, what we've seen in the industry is that certification is not the main thing, right? Let's say you on this podcast when you need a video editor, most likely you're not going to ask for your videography degree. You just need to know if someone has the skills.
Yeah.
So what we do is we focus mostly on building projects and making sure that the people that attend our courses have the right skills, and then we give them our certification. Yeah.
Okay. It is an interesting way because I think your traditional education mindset is obsessed with assessment.
Yeah.
And assessment tends to come with tests, assignments, exams, and, all of this stuff. That's how we are typically wired from that point of view. Through the COVID pandemic, a lot of people with coding skills, web development, that type of thing, were in demand, and they're still in demand today. A lot of people have multiple jobs,
Yeah.
and one of the things that I've heard, almost echoes exactly what you've just said, to say that a lot of companies, project managers, software development houses, they're not so concerned about what your certification is. They're more concerned with, can you do the job?
Exactly.
Can you deliver,
Yeah.
on this thing?
Exactly. That's all that matters. So the always debates. I made this video once on TikTok and then I posted it and I was like, no one really cares about your degree. I mean, obviously there are still some companies that have that mindset to say we only want people with degrees and that's fine. But for the vast majority of companies in the IT space, can you do the job? That's the question. And also, are you someone who's great to be around? Do you have great communication skills? Are you someone that can learn on the job? That's what truly matters. That's what separates people from good to great. Yeah, it's those soft skills that are not really focused on a lot in university or in traditional education, and the practical skills. Can you deliver on your project? If we give you a project, can you deliver on time and on budget? That's what people are looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's a very interesting space. So for your guys as Melsoft Academy, who's the actual client? Maybe you could talk to us about the business model and how you guys are monetizing. Is it the students that you sort of make money from? Is
Yeah.
it companies looking to in-source skills? Like how have you guys gone about the business model?
Yeah, so we have sort of like a marketplace business model where we charge students to take the course to come into the boot camp, And then we also have a placement model. So when someone gets a job through us, the companies actually pay us a certain transactional amount. So we are heavily incentivized to make sure that our students are employable. And that's why everyone who comes into Melsoft, I literally sometimes have to drag people through the finishing line, not just because I want to get paid at the end, right? But I'm truly driven by the desire to see people actually change and improve their lives. Yeah.
Maybe we can take a step back.
Yeah.
Now that we understand what the business is, how you guys make the money, what was the initial problem that you guys were, looking to solve when you first began the business?
All right. So initially, we had our own, and we still do have our own software company where we build web and mobile apps for businesses and corporates. And just like any dev house in South Africa, we were struggling with hiring. We did not have a problem with getting the demand of work, but it's getting the developers. So we'll have to try different things. Do we outsource to India and Pakistan? And dude,
Yeah,
that is
that's
just
tough. I've had that experience. It's a tough one. Yeah.
yeah, it's a nightmare, right? So we tried that, and then we also tried to work with devs that are already on their 9 to 5s. Then they can give us their after hours. But then that also had issues. There's a lot of issues because sometimes clients would want to meet during the day, right? So we also then we were just looking around at the people around our age group, me and my brother, because we started it with my brother. And we saw that a large majority of people actually don't have jobs. They're just sitting. So we created a course. We created a 6-month program that we thought if someone takes this, they can immediately come and solve our own problem. Then we did that with our first cohort. We saw the amazing, incredible demand. Then it just became its own business. So initially it was just meant to solve our little problem, and now it's just become its own business because the demand for the digital skills far exceeds just us. It's everywhere. Yeah.
So right now in the space that we're in, and I like the fact that you guys took a very practical approach because you're trying to solve your own issue. It's not like you're trying to solve, the world's problems.
Yeah.
You're trying to solve your own issue because you guys are experiencing this talent issue, if I can call it
Yep.
that. When you guys were approaching that, right? My thing is, you find yourselves in that space where you're now training people. At what point do maybe you say we can open this up to third parties to say actually, we can do other companies come and see what you're doing and say, hey, can you do that for us?
Yeah.
Or do you see what you're doing and you say, this could actually work well, for other businesses?
Yeah, so what we have done very successfully is that we let our students market themselves on LinkedIn. So when our students complete projects and things like that, they post them on LinkedIn and we reshare to our network. And then people in our network actually see and say, okay, I see this person's name. Are they looking for an entry level job? And then we're like, yeah, sure, absolutely. You can get in touch with them. So because of the demand of tech skills, it's not just us who has the same skills problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone who actually wants, they just come to us. It's mostly through LinkedIn and mostly through our internal network as well.
Okay, cool. It's
Yeah.
actually a pretty cool, the fact that you go about trying to solve your own issue, but you end up finding a market for this thing that you're doing,
Yeah.
what you call this, for yourselves internally. So we've got the software development house, we've got the Melsoft Academy. Are you involved in anything else entrepreneur-wise? Because my experience has taught me that once a person has been bitten by the entrepreneurial bug,
Yeah.
you find yourself doing multiple things.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is very tempting. Ideas do come by. People come to me with, I have this idea, I'm willing to fund it. Can you be my technical co-founder, or can you be my business co-founder? And I am very, very, I say no to a lot of things. 90% of the things that come to me, I say no. Because one thing about me is I am at my best when I'm focusing on one thing. And I always have these internal fights with me to say, should I just close down one of these businesses and work on the other? So at the moment, I'm only working on those two, and I'm not looking for anything else. Unless Tim Cook comes and offers me CEO of Apple, I'll probably take that.
Okay, cool. And the reason I'm asking that is because, at least from an educational point of view, your experience and where you are now, what does it take to be a successful founder? At least in the context that we're in. We are in Johannesburg, we're in South Africa,
Yeah.
we're in Southern Africa. Like, what does it take to be a successful founder?
That's a very good question. So, off the top of my head, I would say three big things. A, never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. It gets difficult. There are times when we didn't have money for food, me and my brother, and then we'll hop to events so that we can eat the event that we met at, right? And then we're wearing all these flashy suits, but in the bank we're struggling. It could have been so easy for us to just fold and get a 9 to 5 and be comfortable. So I would say the most important thing, no matter the difficulties that you're facing, never ever give up. Number two, I would say always be constantly learning and improving, because technology always changes very, very quickly. The day you stop learning, the day you stop taking online courses, seminars, events, webinars, all these things, you are dead. You have to constantly be improving. And then the last thing is just take action. I always meet a lot of young kids coming to me and saying, "Oh, I've got a business idea. I want to do A, B, C, D." Then I'm like, "Okay, cool, go for it." Week later, 2 weeks later, I ask them, how's the idea? How's it going? "Oh, no, I really haven't started. I'm still waiting on A, B, C, D." And unfortunately, that's where most dreams go to die. It's in the planning phase. It's in the I'm gonna do this, and then it never happens. Yeah.
I completely, I completely am with you on the starting piece.
Yeah.
But the first tip that you gave about you must just do it and never give up.
Yeah.
It's a conversation that myself and some of my friends and people in my circle have had multiple times to say. Young people say the word delulu, which is meant to, mean delusional.
Yeah.
That as an entrepreneur or someone who's trying to do something big,
Yeah.
you kind of have to have a certain level of delusion,
100%.
right? Because even in the face of the most insurmountable odds, things are not great. Like you said, hopping from event to event just to, eat or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that ability to say it's fine, I'm just gonna continue. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, and it's not an easy trait.
Yeah.
To have. But on being a founder, the other thing I'm curious about is people, family, and business don't always mix very well, right? But you started a business with your brother. Talk to us around how. We've spoken about how to be a successful founder.
Yeah.
How do you be a successful founder with family involved?
That's a very tough question, but I'm very blessed. For me, my dad is the reason why I'm where I am today, because he would always push me to do things that I thought I would never be able to do. My dad started programming me to be an entrepreneur since I was 3 years old. So when I started,
These sound like those Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, Venus Williams types of things.
yeah, I have a picture of me on my third birthday, and I was holding a letterhead of my dad's company called Larreth Group. So I didn't have a choice. Entrepreneurship was always the way for me, and even for my mother as well. She's also a fantastic entrepreneur. So I've been blessed to have family that understands that this journey is not easy, but it's definitely worth it.
Okay. And I like the fact that you mentioned the almost programming thing that you talked about with the parents.
Yeah.
Because usually in a conversation like this, the typical question is, what inspired you to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Right? But instead of asking that, what I will say is, what's kept you away from the allure of a 9 to 5,
Oh,
because 9 to 5s they're safe, eh?
they're
Yeah.
good. Yeah. There was a time when Melsoft was struggling, 2021, and I almost folded and I started applying for 9 to 5s and I got some really incredible offers. And I was looking at the numbers and I was like, wow. So for me, the question was, if these people are willing to pay me this
This much.
much,
Yeah.
how much are they making?
Mm.
And I had to resist, and it was difficult. So it's that thinking of I'm greater than this. I must be better than this. If I have to suffer now, I have to suffer now. It's okay. And just resisting that instant gratification and that feeling of safety, like you're saying. Yeah, I just had to resist, but it's not been easy. I've had my partner at some point tell me that just take the job. Then I was like, nah, wait, relax. So yeah, I've just had to resist because natural born entrepreneur. I did once get a job, in my first year of being a professional. I did work for about 2 months before I quit because I just couldn't handle it.
What type of company were you working
I was working for another edtech startup here in South Africa, and while I was there, the thing I would always be saying, "Why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way?" And at that time, I was completely inexperienced. I had no business skills. I had nothing, but I would just say, "Why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way?" And then when I saw that the only way for me to actually get what I want and get things done my way is if I start my own thing, and I had to quit my job.
So, where we are now in 2024,
Yeah.
and your first foray into entrepreneurship, how long has it been now?
It's been about 4 years now.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Would you say that you're out of the woods yet? And I ask that because you've just told us some stories of struggle.
Yeah.
You've also told us, stories of being tempted by the 9 to 5 world, and
Yeah.
that type of thing. Where you are now, do you think you've reached a stage where you're out of the general woods?
Yeah. So I would say 100%, right? For me, I truly love entrepreneurship. I enjoy it. There's no day that I don't enjoy it. Even if someone is coming to me with a lawsuit or um, the app is broken and the users are complaining, all these things, I truly enjoy it. So for me, being out of the hood simply means, do I have food to eat? Do I have a place to stay? Do I have a car to drive? Are my employees paid on time all the time? And I can safely say I'm well out of the hood.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. How big is the team now?
12.
12. How did you go about building the team? Because I find that's one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs is letting go. Right.
Oh,
Because it's like
executing.
your baby, right?
Yeah.
And you're not sure where the babysitter can actually parent your child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy. So you hire someone. Like for me, I hire someone, I bring them in, I trust. I give all my team members 100% autonomy. Do things, take all the risks that you want to take. And then if something goes wrong, it's fine. If we win, we win, right? And then sometimes you just get people that do well at the interview, but their characters don't align with the value that we have, mostly being honesty and integrity. And yeah, it's never easy to tell someone you don't have an income anymore. It's never easy to I call them executions, but they need to be done. You need to have a team that has the same core values, and the biggest core value that I have in my team is honesty and integrity, because trust and an open environment is where all the magic happens. Yeah.
One of the reasons why I asked that question specifically is because you guys are in the business of training. In essence, you're in the business of training professionals.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just wondering how much of that training is because there's the technical skill around coding and being part of a development house. It can be web development, app development, right? But there are cultures, right, in these companies. There are overarching cultures generally at development houses, but each development house has its own culture. So when you're training someone, right, how much of that is actually training them in the culture of how to be part of a company? I don't know if what I'm asking is making
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. So 100%, that is exactly what we do. We don't just, we remember the initial goal for Melsoft Academy was to train people to be in our own company. So during the training, it's all of our values, all of our ethos, they're infused in that training. And 90% of the people that work at Melsoft Academy are ex-students. They're people that started off as students because they understand our values. We like to think of ourselves as, I don't know if you're into soccer, the Ajax of tech, or
Oh,
the
nice.
Dortmund of tech.
Yeah, because they have training academies and then they've got a big club above them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we do. So it's easy for people that we train to just step up into our academy and then into our agency as well. And then if we see that, okay, this person has the right tech skills but they don't fit into their culture, then first they are the first names that we put forward to the other outside companies that are looking for talent.
Oh, it's actually an interesting approach. And just one more thing on that, right, is maybe a bit out of the way because you guys you're an employer, right? Do you allow the people that work for you to also, work on other projects? And I say that simply because software development is one of those things where a lot of people have a 9 to 5, but are also doing projects on the side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I always encourage all of my team members to start something on the side, whether it's their own idea that they have or an idea that they see in the company that they want to implement.
Yeah.
For example, we just recently hosted a networking event here at WeWork, and we had about 150 people show up. It was someone else's idea. It was a team member who thought of the idea, and then she executed everything to perfection.
Yeah.
And now she's actually starting a little community around tech, but it's still within the company. So I do recommend it because they get to learn a lot. They get to bring value from the lessons that they're learning in their own endeavors, and then that also increases the value of the company. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Interesting approach, and I think it's actually quite progressive because a lot of companies do have that attitude that we own you, we own your time, and all of
Oh,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So that ability to actually recognize and say, people, go out, do something else, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Two more things. Firstly, you guys have obviously gone about the training aspect and you're helping, to put people into jobs and that type of thing. In the greater scheme of things, where we're dealing with a huge unemployment crisis, right? What do you see, I guess, as your ultimate value, right, in the ecosystem of us trying to, because there's this big elephant called unemployment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But for yourselves and the piece that you are contributing, how do you see your place in that ecosystem?
All right, another great question. So unemployment is the big problem, right? 60% youths don't have jobs. And there's a deeper problem or a deeper result of that. It's people cannot feed themselves and they cannot feed their families. And what we want to do in the near future is not just help people get jobs, because that's only one way of earning an income. There's entrepreneurship, although it is very difficult, right? But it's another way. There's freelancing. People can just pick up a skill and start offering that skill, a skill of value to businesses, and help people learn. There are other things like affiliate marketing, content creation, and all these tech skills that you don't normally get at a university, but someone who has these skills, they can be able to feed their family.
Yeah.
And you'll be shocked, right? People don't actually want that much. Whenever I ask people how much money do you want to earn, it's never a big amount that you
Really?
have to, you'll be shocked, dude. You'll be shocked. Okay, don't now start coming to me and increasing your prices. But yeah, people just want to be able to feed their families. And
Yeah.
there are so many things that someone can just start today and then they can start feeding their family. So we're looking into expanding our course base, not just limit to getting a job in tech.
Okay, cool. And I think that helps us, to land the conversation, because we've spoken quite a bit about the journey of the business, where you guys started, where you are now, temptations along the way, challenges, future now, looking ahead. Um, are there plans, to expand out of South Africa, maybe onto the continent? What does the next 5 years look like? What's the runway that we should be expecting for Melsoft?
Yeah, so what's going to take us from where we are now to being a $1 billion company is we definitely need to leave South Africa, or at least expand our wings. And what we want to do is to train as much as we can here across the African continent. There's this saying that talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. Right? There is talent in almost every country in Africa. And where are the opportunities? You'll see most of the real big opportunities are either in Europe or America or in the more developed nations. So what we want to do is take our people, give them the right skills, the world-class skills, and then give them access to those global opportunities. Because that's how people are truly going to be able to change their lives. Yeah.
All right. So I think that's a good place, for us to end off, just around the opportunities that are being seen in Africa. Some key takeaways, from today. Larreth, I guess, talking to us about the importance of nature versus nurture, but more than anything else, also just talking about, the fact that you sort of have to have that ability to just keep on pressing, especially in situations where you don't have, a clear path to wherever you want to go, but you just have a belief of the end in mind, right? People will come to you and to tempt you with other opportunities along the way, and you must have the mental fortitude to say, what I'm doing is actually going to work out in the end, and it's going to be greater than whatever these other opportunities, are. And then also at the same time, the fact that, a progressive employer in 2024, that ability to give people the freedom, to go out and do other projects, it can actually help your own organization. Because I think the story that you told about, the young lady who was able to come up with an idea about a networking event and start something in-house that benefits her, but is also benefiting you as Melsoft, I think it's, really great, around win-win, type of situation. So that's been it. We were talking to Larreth Jimu. He is an entrepreneur and also, co-founder of Melsoft. What's the name of the software development house, by the way? Is it also called Melsoft?
Yeah.
So Melsoft is the development house, Melsoft Academy being the
Training
institution.
Yep.
All right, cool. So that's when we end off. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank you for having me.